Good morning, everybody. My name is Matt Fleming, and I am one of the business development team at m-hance. I'd like to welcome you to our MTech Virtual Summit. It's the second event of this type that we've run. We ran the first one last year, which, given the obvious situation with the world, was the logical thing to do, because what we didn't want to do is lose touch. We want to keep talking to you guys, keeping you informed of what was going on with the Dynamics software. So we ran the summit last year virtually, and it was a big success. So if it ain't broke, we thought we wouldn't fix it. And welcome to our second year of virtual summit. I have to confess, last week I was at a charity summit with 200 to 300 real people, which was really great. Being able to shake hands again, talk to people, look them in the eye. So who knows, maybe this time next year we'll actually have a face-to-face or possibly some sort of hybrid event where we can meet up if you need to, but we can also join remotely. My session today is around Microsoft Dynamics GP, a little bit of a look at the life cycle, a bit of a look at the updates that have gone on with Microsoft Dynamics GP, and talk a little bit about roadmap in terms of what your roadmap might be, because I'm very conscious that we talk a lot about roadmaps, and obviously what is important to you may not be important to another client or prospect. So just talk broadly about those sorts of roadmaps as we go through. Just a bit of housekeeping. It wouldn't be a webinar if you didn't have some housekeeping. And forgive the slight slowness of the slides. The wonderful interweb is flat out today. I'm going to be talking for about 30 minutes. You guys are all in listen-only mode for now, principally because different people have different levels of interest in different parts of the system. So what we do is if you leave you guys in listen-only mode, we don't end up sort of going down any blind alleys, things of that nature, cul-de-sacs. But what there is on the GoToWebinar control bar on the right is a question panel. If you have questions, please feel free to pop them in there. And what I will do when the session is finished is either I'll respond directly, or if you're an existing customer, I'll get your account manager to respond to you. If you think of any other questions after the event, and you've forgotten my email address, or you're a prospect and don't have an account manager, please feel free to contact us at sayhello@m-hance.com. Copies of the slides will be available after the session, which is important because what I've tried to do is include a number of URLs, website addresses within the session, so that you can keep yourself up to date as much as anything else, because as we go through, you'll see that Microsoft are doing much more with GP, and it's happening more quickly. So you being able to keep yourself informed is probably important moving forward. But yeah, as I say, the URLs, website addresses will be on top of the slides, and they'll be available after the session. So the agenda, I did this presentation last year, and we looked at what Microsoft plans were in terms of GP, what they were planning for the coming year. And in the first session, I've wanted to just quickly look at some of the challenges that we faced in 2021, what Microsoft have done in terms of their commitments to GP, and also what we've seen as a partner over the course of the 12 months where our clients have been going and the investment that they've been making. A very quick look at what's new. You'll be delighted to hear that I have a life cycle slide. Those of you that's listened to me before, I never do a presentation without my Microsoft Dynamics GP life cycle slide. So we'll look at that in terms of where the project's going, some of the updates that are there, but also once again coming back to the URLs, a bit of self-help for yourselves. And then what we'll finish off with is where do you go from here, your roadmap, where GP is, what Microsoft are doing with it, what my take is, if you like, a little bit on what's happening in the GP space at the moment. So 2021, what a year that was. That's probably an understatement, probably one we all want to forget. It's brought its own unique set of challenges. I hope none of you have had to work from the ironing board, as the picture on the left indicates. But we have seen a number of unusual challenges that have hit us both personally, but also as an organisation. So during lockdown, last sort of 12, 18 months, many of us had to work from home. And obviously for some of our clients, that meant a big change in terms of infrastructure, because we're not going into the office anymore. We're not sitting working with our on-premise solution. We are now working from home. We need remote access. We need more flexible working because our working hours need to vary. So this concept now, as we come out of lockdown, of a hybrid stroke flexible working environment, it becomes more and more important. And we've seen a number of clients in the last sort of 12 months make the decision to move to the web, to the cloud, because that gives you an opportunity then for anytime access from anywhere, from any device, as long as you can get onto the internet. So that's been a challenge that we've seen. Obviously, a large number of organisations have had staff that have been furloughed, which has meant you've had to do more with less. And we've had organisations come to us looking for ways to generate efficiency. I'll talk about them in a bit more detail in a second. We have had some projects delayed. You know, if you haven't got the skills, you haven't got the people, you can't do those projects. And the other thing that I talk to clients about regularly at the moment is skill shortages. It's not just delivering petrol that is an issue. It's not just getting HGV drivers onto the road that's an issue. We're seeing issues in IT in terms of skills around IT personnel, but also in finance. I was talking to a client not so long ago who had a new individual start, and a week later they were leaving again because they'd been offered a better job with more money. So it has been a challenge 2021 for a whole variety of reasons. How Microsoft GP has coped during that time, if you like, what I thought I'd do is that I'd look back at what we said last year in the session and see how GP has sort of coped and what Microsoft have done, if you like, in terms of what they have been delivering. I have been asked this question as recently as sort of 3 weeks ago. You know, is GP dead? Is it end of life? Where's it going? And I used the term last year, which was a Mark Twain term. The rumours of my death have been greatly exaggerated. And I think if we look at what's actually happened over the last 12 months since that last session I did, it's actually been pretty positive in terms of GP. Last year, Microsoft announced that they were going to start moving away from the fixed product lifecycle. What does that mean? Well, what the fixed product lifecycle meant was every 12 months they would do a major release. So the last major release was 2018 R2, and then you wouldn't get anything else then for another 12 months. You might get an interim fix, you might get a couple of hot fixes potentially, but at one major release per year. So if you miss that major release, then all of a sudden you're going to have to start leapfrogging releases to keep up. Those upgrades are often quite large if you'd missed a couple of steps, and obviously they were time consuming and therefore costly. What Microsoft has done in 2021, and I've had more and more of my customers moving to, is this modern product lifecycle. Smaller updates, more frequent, easier to upgrade, and lots of product updates in there as well, which has been really good. And that's worked quite well. That's worked really well in terms of people moving forward regularly and keeping costs down. Microsoft announced last year that they would extend support to 2028 for GP 2018 R2, which is terrific news. So no mad rush to change or move necessarily. But what they did do is, as I say, they mentioned this modern product lifecycle, more versions, more regularly, with more features. And this year we've seen 18.2, 18.3, and on the 1st of October they delivered 18.4. Microsoft Dynamics GP 18.4. Forgive the numbering. Microsoft do like to keep us on our toes, but yeah, 18.2, 18.3, and 18.4 are the more recent releases. All of those releases have new product features, and I'll talk a little bit about those in a second. But from my perspective, one of the things that I have seen is the more recent releases, the more modern product lifecycle releases are growing closer, if you like, to Microsoft Power Platform. We've got a session later on today about Power Platform, if I think after this one. where we'll talk in a bit more detail about Dynamics GP and the Power Platform. But these are tools like Teams, Power Apps, Power BI that Microsoft are delivering with its new releases of things like Business Central and Finance and Operations. But they're also now starting to deliver them and integrate them more closely with products like GP, which is really important, which is really key, that we encourage you guys to move on to the modern product lifecycle, because I think there'll be newer features, newer functionality, and as I say, it's a much more modern platform. This time last year, we thought there was probably 30,000 plus companies using Dynamics GP around the world. There was lots of talk about BC coming on board, Business Central, that being adopted. We haven't really seen that. We haven't seen a massive uptake in BC from the GP base. We have migrated clients. That's it's something we can do and something we have done. But we haven't seen the anticipated sort of attrition in the base. What we have seen is we've seen a lot more customers coming to us looking for cloud-based computing, where they are moving from something like Sage or Xero, but not so many clients actually moving away from GP. And I genuinely think, coming back to the point I made earlier about staff being on furlough, some projects being postponed, I think people looking at GP now and saying, well, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. It does a job for us. It's a sound financial platform, so we'll leave it for now. New releases planned until 2024. Microsoft announced that last year. The great news is, and I'll come on to it in a second, is we've now got new releases planned until 2028, which is a real commitment from Microsoft to Dynamics GP. Those releases are obviously, and I'm sorry to use the words again, modern product lifecycle releases. So it'll be frequent releases, small changes, but delivered on a far more regular basis. So I think GP's had a pretty good year, really, as a technology. What have we seen in 2021 as a partner? Threefold, really, I think, from a GP perspective. It is possible to take your current version of GP, depending on particular releases and obviously the products that are supported on the cloud, like the SQL version, things like that. We are able to take many of your GP versions straight to the cloud, straight to Azure. And this, I think, has reflected this hybrid capability, this ability to access your financial solution pretty much from any time, any place, anywhere, any device. The fact that we offer managed services as well around that cloud, so we can do your backups, we can do disaster recovery, we can provide continuity of service, has also been attractive to clients as well. And we have seen a far larger sort of uptake of a cloud-first mentality. So people are coming to us saying, well, it's got to be on the cloud, we want it on the cloud. And that's for scalability reasons, for security reasons, and for access reasons. So we've seen quite a few clients this year actually move their GP instance from on-premise into Azure. Power Platform's availability, I did mention Power Platform earlier. There are a number of tools within Microsoft's Power Platform, some of which you might be aware of, some of which you may not be aware of. Workflow, Power Automate. Power Apps allows you to create small mobile applications for things like entering data onto GP without the need necessarily for a GP license. So that's allowed companies to generate efficiency. Obviously, as part of the Power Platform, you've also got Azure, which is the cloud, and also Business Central, which is Microsoft's SaaS ERP offering. As I say, we've seen some clients move that way, but not a huge number, which is what we might have thought last year. But yeah, we've seen clients do more and more with Power Platform as it's become available. And then finally, this year we've seen GP upgrades. Numbers of customers have carried on upgrading. And I think it's been a bit of a split, really, between clients who are looking to move onto the cloud, but clients who are also looking to keep their current version of GP up to date. And I think while some projects may have been postponed or delayed, typically we've seen about the same number of upgrades this year as we normally see. So that's been really positive. And I don't know if that is just reflecting Microsoft's commitment to the product, the confidence in the product, or the fact that there's now this modern lifecycle concept, which means you can move more often, more quickly. So that's what we've seen as a partner in the last sort of 12 months or so. But I think what it does genuinely demonstrate is Microsoft's commitment to Dynamics GP. We've got this modern product lifecycle. We've got more versions more often. We've got more features coming out on a regular basis, and also this growing closer. I'm not tempted to say synergy. This synergy with the Power Platform and the features that are there. So your investment in GP is looking pretty good, especially over our experience for the last 12 months. But what we can now do is sort of have a look forward, if you like, and say, well, okay, what's new, what's coming in Microsoft Dynamics GP down the track. So I did warn you earlier that there would be a product lifecycle diagram, so you have been warned. Obviously, Microsoft announced 2018 R2, which was the last major release on the fixed product lifecycle. And that comes back to what I was saying earlier about these products coming out regularly, but sort of every 12 months there'd be a significant release. And the problems that caused was sort of then the subsequent upgrade, the time it was taken, and the associated cost. If you're on 2018, or if you're on any of those releases there, which are fixed life cycle, 2013, 15, 16, or 18, and you're thinking of moving forward, you're thinking of an upgrade, then yeah, definitely onto the modern life cycle would be my suggestion. So you're looking at 18.2, 18.3, or 18.4. And the nice thing about those releases, they're going to be new features, and as I say, more often delivered to you, and a relatively straightforward upgrade as well. So that's even better news. So we're looking at a life cycle now which takes us out to 2028. What does all that mean? Well, from the fixed life cycle products 2018, you will now get extended support out to 2028. We as your partner will continue to support you, but it's our ability to talk to Microsoft and escalate those sort of calls, which is reflected in the extended life cycle. But that's an awful long time to be able to sit on the release of GP if you wanted to. My preference or my suggestion would be look at the modern product life cycle, look at 18.2, 18.3, and 18.4. We're going to see continuous releases of new product features right through to 2028 now with GP. As long as you take one of those interim releases every year, then you will stay current on your mainstream support, which is important because that helps us to solve problems should you come across them. And I mentioned earlier that the concept of the Power Platform and what that was doing for organizations, and those Power Platform enhancements, I think will only get closer and closer as we work through to 2028. In terms of the areas of focus that Microsoft are delivering, if you like, in terms of new features on these new releases, they've looked at ease of use predominantly. That is workflows, single views or across multiple transactions. There's a go-to feature as well in one of the latest releases. So trying to make your use of GP easier, but also extend the functionality that's there already. Which is obviously really they'd want to keep moving the product forward if they could. The one that I always applaud, if you like, is the customer requests. And I know in the most recent releases that a number of customers have submitted requests for particular features in an enhancement or in a version, and they have been delivered. And Microsoft are quite happy for you to ask for those features and then vote whether or not you want those features in the next release or not. It's worked really well, and there's a number of new features gone in to the latest version of Dynamics GP. On 18.4, I think I counted 30 plus enhancements to the products in 18.4. There's just a few of them scrolling up in reds, blues, and greens around the areas that we've discussed in terms of ease of use, customer requests, and extended functionality. The only thing I will say though is obviously with these releases coming out more often, it's going to be harder to sort of keep track of what features are where. So these two slides are just a couple of screen grabs from Microsoft's page at the top there, Microsoft.com Dynamics GP resources, which tells you a little bit more about the financial enhancements, workflow functionality, and the top feature requests, which are things that you've asked for, which have been voted for, and Microsoft have implemented. So this year, 18.2, 18.3 are there, and obviously you've got features in 18.4, but I would strongly suggest taking a look at the Microsoft.com resources page to see the sort of functionality that is being included in those releases, because it will start to come thicker and faster over the course of the next few years. With that increased frequency, I think it's important that you try and stay up to date, not just with things that may be issues, but new features, new functionality, and also the ability to log your own requests and vote for requests if you want them. So in order to stay up to date, one of the things I've put up here is www.community.dynamics.com/GP. It will allow you to sign up and register for the portal. You've got blogs in there, you've got upcoming events, you've got known issues, you've got hot fixes and things of that nature, which are all really useful, and you can get them posted straight to your email box if you sign up. And this is just one of the examples of one of the community forum pages. So, as I say, you're going to have 3 releases a year now. Stay up to date, get involved with the community. On this page, for instance, you can submit your request, you can look at hot topics, you can look at what's new. But I think it will help you to stay informed and to keep up to date with what's happening with Microsoft Dynamics GP as it becomes a more agile product. So register for the forums and a bit of self-help there if you like. So we've looked a little bit about 2021. We looked at somewhat what our other clients are doing. We've looked at the GP product briefly. Where to from here, really, I think was my final question in terms of GP. And I've described this slide as your roadmap, and as I've said all along, the different requirements that you have, the different demands that you want to place on your system will define, what are your priorities, where you want to go, when you want to go there. We've talked about the 2 versions of GP, the fixed product lifecycle and the modern product lifecycle. Today, they're not dissimilar in terms of offering. As long as you're on a more recent version of GP, on the fixed product lifecycle 2016, 2018, you wouldn't have too many problems using some of the other standard products available. So at the top there, I do love a good Microsoft symbol. We have Azure, and if you wanted to put the products onto Azure, you could. We have Power Apps, and as I say, we've got a Power Platform session after this. I'll take you into a bit more detail about that. Power BI, we've got a Power BI reporting pack for Dynamics GP, be that fixed or modern, and Power Automate. We've got another product which we're demonstrating over the next couple of days, which is purchase and expense management for Dynamics GP, and that includes Power Apps, that includes Power Automate, and that can sit on the cloud as well if you want. We report through Power BI. So all those options are there for you today, whether you're on fixed or modern lifecycle. Obviously as well, if you are thinking of a change, be that you're looking to move to a SaaS model, we've also got Dynamics 365 Business Central, which is a financial solution. It's sprung out of NAV originally. It's not as mature as GP, but it's moving pretty quickly in terms of Microsoft's investment. So there is obviously the alternative to look at that as a way forward in the future. And you can move to D365 Business Central from either of these options. There are also Microsoft incentives, financial incentives, if you decide to move from GP to Business Central, including license discounts over the first few years, I think they are. So if that's something that's of interest, we're happy to help. We're happy to do demonstrations. We've actually got a whole day tomorrow, which is all around Business Central. Check out our events page on the website. and register for those events if you'd like to take a look. But if you are if you want to talk to your account manager, or if you want to contact us, as I say, from the emails provided previously, feel free to do that, and we can organise a one-on-one demonstration where we can better understand what your needs are. What I will say is, as the products continue to move forward, I think it's more important that you are on the modern lifecycle than the fixed lifecycle, and that's because as Microsoft starts to develop additional functionality, additional features, they are likely to be on the modern product lifecycle products rather than on the fixed product lifecycle products. So with Business Central today, we see that we've got an Outlook integration that allows you to view your ERP pages through Outlook. That may be coming with Dynamics GP. Teams integration, where you may get an order or process an order and you can notify people through Teams, and obviously the Office integration as well. So if I could offer you any advice in terms of whether or not you're sticking with GP or possibly even to Business Central, if you're staying on GP, then definitely have a think about a move to the modern product lifecycle, because that will give you lots of new features, give them more often, and as I say, there's other future-based potential products coming down the line, which you'll need to be on the latest versions to fully appreciate. I'd say we're happy to help. Help comes in different ways, different shapes, different forms. For some of our clients, we've done system reviews where we've looked at how you can get more bang for your buck out of Microsoft Dynamics GP. Product demonstrations, we're happy to do that as well. Really, let's open the floor to a discussion about what you need when you need it. As I say, you've got your account manager you can contact, or alternatively, please feel free to give myself a shout or say hello at m-hance.com. Okay, so I'm 28 minutes into my 30-minute presentation, which is not like me at all. Just to wrap up really in terms of GP, I think we can see that Microsoft have got a demonstrable commitment to Dynamics GP. They're investing not just in features and functionality, but they're actually investing in embellishing the product with things like Power Platform functionality as well. New product features in Power Platform will continue to come. They're going to be coming every 3 times a year. You don't have to take every single release, but if you keep up to date with some of the environments, the portal community things I've shown you already, you can see what's coming and when, and maybe make a decision that 18.2 may not be for you, but 18.3 or 18.4 might be. So plenty of new product features, and as I say, the integration with the Power Platform. The modern product lifecycle I've talked about, and work with us. We're happy to try and better understand what you're trying to achieve, and when you're trying to achieve it, and plan that. I know we have done some continuity planning with some of the clients, continual improvement planning, sorry, where we draw up a plan for 12 months and say, okay, these are the things we're trying to address, these are the things we're trying to deliver. What's the best way to do that with Dynamics GP? Where will I get best bang for my buck? So happy to work with you guys as and when you need help. That was me. That's 29 minutes. I hope that was of use. I hope that's of interest. Thank you for listening. As I say, we've got a Business Central day tomorrow, which will be all things Business Central if you want to take a look at that product. But after I finish today at 11:30, we've got our Power Platform for Dynamics GP, which might give you a bit more information about Power Apps, Power BI, Power Automate. But that's me. Thanks very much for listening. I hope you enjoy the rest of the event. Please check out other sessions at m-hance.com/events. But I hope that was of use, and if you'd like a copy of the slides, then we'll get them across to you when we've finished the session. Thanks, guys.